good? What's good? It's Tuesdays with Tawana. Yeah, I am in the building. Grateful to be in the building. Grateful to be among community. Grateful to chop it up with you and to share stories and experiences. Grateful for another day to be alive, to breathe, to commune with you, to show some love and compassion and empathy, and to insert your comments and your narrative into this space, because Tuesdays with Tawana is not just about me and my thoughts or feelings or rhetoric or actions or life experience, but it's about us coming together, growing together, through agreements, disagreements, and everything in between, but learning and exploring and experiencing community so that we understand how much power we have in this place. We know how much power we have. So, as we begin Tuesdays with Tawana, I am your host and your curator, Reverend T, known to some, Dr. Tad, to others, and I'm just plain old Tawana in the midst of it all. So let's get started. Let's make some things happen. The first thing I just want to lift up and honor, and actually I'll wait because hopefully he'll pop on, but if he doesn't, I'll encourage him to catch this on a replay. You can catch this on a replay if you happen to be scrolling and you see it. It's recorded on Facebook Live. It's on the Tuesdays with Tawana page. It's on YouTube. It'll be on Twitter and LinkedIn within 24 to 48 hours. So if you ever miss it, you can always catch it. You can always make comments. I always go to back to the recordings to see if there are any comments um, that I can acknowledge and honor and address. So, for today, the first thing, always got to represent with a t shirt, and midterms effing matter. When I was growing up in Wagner projects, young growing up, but I don't recall midterms being this salient, important piece of the election process. Many people either voted for mayor, governor, and president. And even that, president was really the go to of them all. And now we are, well, at least I, in my elder years, I'm realizing that it takes so much more um, to insert our voice and insert our power into this narrative, into this white supremacy, to dismantle it, this white power to dismantle it, to the racism and all the other isms that are happening, especially during Pride Month. People are just cruel and just hateful, and this is one way, one of many ways that we can insert our voice into a narrative that speaks against this status quo that continues to dehumanize us, degrade us, demean us, marginalize us, disrespect us, hate us just for the color of our skin. Our color of our skin is a perceived threat, which is so unjust. And because of that, we find that we are usually at the top, the highest of all the numbers, whether it's physical ills, mental ills, police brutality, riots, racism, religious, Christian white privilege, all of those things, we find that we are the most impacted by it. But with Tuesdays with Tawana, what I want to express and remind folk today is that Tuesdays with Tawana, I am a Black woman. And I speak from my Black experience and the Black experience of the communities that I grew up in or I was involved with. So, whether it was Wagner Projects, whether it was living in the Bronx, being a homeowner for the first time, whether it was leaving my corporate job, that community, seminary, moving to different parts of the country, I showed up as a Black woman each time. And each time I have experiences that were against who I am and who I be and how I show up. But that doesn't mean that this is the only way or only focusing on Black women or Black people of the diaspora, our Black beloveds, is the only way. What I hope to gain from Tuesdays with Tawana is moving on beyond um, the Black experience and giving language and shedding light on the Indigenous First Nation experience and the people of color experiences so that they too have a way, a language to uh, speak up and speak out against microaggressions or racism or dehumanization. Um, or mass shootings, right? We are seeing more and more mass shootings. I think we've had over 250, if I'm not mistaken, mass shootings, and we are only in June here in the United States. We incarcerate the most people, Black and brown people, and people in general, than other countries combined. We are the white supremacy and white powers trying to desperately control our bodies or to tell us that we should live in this binary world where it's so much more than that. Pride Month is really teaching and showing us how to learn of one another's experiences so we can honor and respect one another through the knowledge. And the act of knowledge is through the act of empathy, compassion, deep listening, building community. Because at the end of the day, any non white person has the propensity to be marginalized, right? Or murdered or experiencing mass shootings. So I just wanted to kind of give a reminder of the framework. As I center Black women, it doesn't mean that I decenter Black men or even other Indigenous people of color. I can only speak what I know and speak from my experience, and with the hopes and giving people the encouragement and the courage to speak out, giving them the language to speak, giving them the wherewithal to know all of these terms so that we know how to respond. You know, I remember when we did a facing racism experience and an older Black gentleman walked up to me with tears pouring down his eyes when we went over definitions that are used in racial injustice spaces. And he said he did not know what microaggressions were, and he didn't realize that. And now that he was able to put a name to it and understand it, he can respond to it accordingly. He knows now that it's not just him and these things were not true, and knowing what they are and how they show up in different spaces, whether it's the church universal or work or in other communities. So we do this to learn and to experience joy together. So there he is, the one I was looking for. Hey, brother, how are you? Good to see you. So, on today, this morning, my I realized we've had so many losses in my family over the last several years. My mom and my dad, my uncle, aunts, all of my grandparents. The list goes on and on. And oftentimes I make mention of women leadership or matriarchs. But this morning, during my quiet time, even though I did not sleep last night because I had a horrible case of insomnia, this morning I was thinking about my brother, who is the patriarch of our family. He is the eldest man in our family. And he's not only the matriarch because of being an elder or being the oldest male, but he also behaves as an elder in a very loving, caring, compassionate, and giving way. Yes, we all make mistakes. Yes, we all have missteps and all that. But even in that, he is teaching us how to learn from those things, teaching us how to discern, to speak, and to think, and to feel, teaching us how to step up when you see a need and fill a gap, doing all the things that a patriarch would do in the family, raising his beautiful family. He just celebrated his 20 something wedding anniversary. His children are doing well, his grandchildren are doing well. He is truly really the rock in our family. And I wanted to acknowledge Larry, my blood brother. Oftentimes you'll hear me refer to folk as beloved or brother or sister. Here is my blood brother in whom I am well pleased and so grateful and so honored that God has blessed me with such a brother that loves me unconditionally and shows up for me in times when I don't have to ask. I'll just get a package in the mail of something that I needed, or a phone call checking up on me, or those are the things that our leaders and our families could and should do to show my grandson Ethan what it is to be a young man, to show, be an example for Eric, my son, and my brother Corey, because it's not a lot of men in our family. I think Larry has more men in his lineage than any of us. Everybody had daughters, but now we're picking it up because Ethan is here and Eric. So, brother, you are so welcome. I love you too. It is my honor, it is my privilege to honor you in this space for such a time as this. I am so grateful for you. I am also grateful for my community. I actually had a chance to really purge and grieve the other day. Thank you to Reverend Dr. Melva Sampson and Pink Robe Chronicles, who tarried with me for a little while. It was surprising, but it was nothing but spirit talking to Reverend Dr. Melva Sampson. And we spoke Tina's name. She said some things to me that only my sister would say, even terms and names and nicknames that my sister called me. I won't go into detail because it was definitely a sacred, private moment, but it was something that I needed, and I was able to actually pause and grieve. And so the quote that I had up earlier today, I'll bring it back up real quick. Where is it? Let me see if I can find it. Nope, that's not it. Here it is. Grief never ends, but it changes. It's a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness, nor a lack of faith. It is the price of love. And we are still grieving the loss of my sister. We are still grieving what has happened in Buffalo. We are still grieving what happened in Uvalde, Texas. And we are also now grieving the murder of Darius Lee in Harlem on last night, another mass shooting. A mass shooting is defined or can be defined as a quantity of people that are killed at one time in a very short period of time. So it mass doesn't mean like 20 or 30 people. It can be 3 or 4 people. And last night in Harlem, Darius Lee was murdered. He was just named like student of the year or something at his college. He was just about to graduate from undergrad. 8 other people were shot as well. So we are holding space for good afternoon, Alexandria. I'm glad you joined us live on today. We're holding space for them. So another mass shooting has happened. And it brings me to this quote. I'm a all Law and Order fan. I just watch a lot of Law and Order. And one of the Law and Order SVU episodes, a quote was used from the Wolf and the Lamb, and it says a tyrant will always find a pretext for tyranny. So as we are fighting for proper gun laws, I felt moved to remind us today that one killing is too many. And this BS bill that they're trying to pass, talking about it's a start, tell that to the 20 something people that died in Uvalde, or the 9 people that died in Buffalo just because they were black, or Columbine, or Sandy Hook, or the list goes on and on and on when we talk about mass shootings. Tell that to them. It's a start. No, it's not a start. We're tired of just a start. We're tired of just appeasing those people with money from the NRA who's funneling money into these politicians' pockets in order for them to run and win, like Dr. Oz, who won the primary for the Republican seat in Pennsylvania. It's horrible, horrible, um, how people are in the Republican Party who are now speaking out and speaking up against the ills of gun violence and really, controlling, getting these AR-15s and these automatic weapons off of the street, and how they're being ostracized. And people are coming together to bring other people in to oppose them, to get them out of office. So again, we're putting money over people, right? Profits over people, and that is totally unexpected. So when I wear this shirt that midterms matter because we must not lose the Senate. We must put judges and other elected officials in there that have our best interests at heart, especially the BIPOC community, especially those who are of tender age and who cannot protect themselves, especially those who are in fighting for mental wellness and domestic violence relationships, and health care, the disparaging treatment the list goes on and on and on. And we are called to step up and to speak out and to make sure that we put people in office who have our best interests at heart. So our hearts go out to Brother Darius Lee, beloved Darius Lee, and his murder, and the family. And we're hoping that people will support that family and surround that family, because as we read in the quote about grief, it's really about a deep love and losing someone or something that you love. And there's no script for it, there's no timeline, there's no right or wrong way, if you will, to do it. So we just honor all those who are grieving, including the Davis family, who is still grieving the loss of Tina Rose. And every time we speak somebody's name, we are speaking life. We speak life because speaking their names then inserts themselves and we feel their presence in our situation or circumstance. And one of the things I will share is, my sister was she helped care for me in the throes of my diagnosis, and Dr. Melva Sampson said to me, now that her spirit, as we speak her name, and her spirit is activated and alive, she can help to heal me in ways that she could not do on this side, in the physical side. And I'm so grateful that now she has an opportunity to just love on me and to help me heal and to focus on my healing versus focusing on my diagnosis. And those are things that she taught me when she was here, and she can continue to teach that to me in the spirit realm as well. So I am just so grateful for that. Um, yes, thank you, Alexandria. Prayers to the family. So let's talk a bit for the next 10 minutes. I want to talk a bit about toxic positivity, right? Because it's one thing to be angry and not sin. Our traditional Christian scriptures tell us to, be angry and not sin. And I think this is a part of toxic positivity, where toxic positivity sort of erases or diminishes the fullness of our feelings. And you just want to be happy, like, and just ignore all of your problems and everything is good, and we're just skipping through the tulips and just smiling all the time no matter what's going on. Oh, these people were killed in Uvalde. Well, God isn't, or and we got to move on, and we got to get over it. Slavery happened this long ago, and what is trauma? What is generalized trauma? Generational trauma. This is what happens when you get no sleep at night due to insomnia. But when you diminish people's feelings and you don't create space for people to feel all the feels, whether it's crying, responding to pain, responding to disappointment or hurt. So, toxic positivity is giving those quotes that kind of like the commercial. It's like a mental, it's a counseling commercial, whatever. And a person is like, I'm not doing well. And then somebody will say something like, oh, it'll be okay. Oh, just don't worry about it. Oh, just take a deep breath and keep it moving. And then at the end of the commercial, it says that was not helpful. Because toxic positivity is not honoring who we are and the fullness of who we are with all the feelings that God has given us. God has given us every single feeling that we have. It's what we do with it. And our feelings are calling us to respond in a certain way, which is why we have a spirit of discernment. So if I am angry, oh, it would feel good to curse you out. Absolutely. But at the same time, I need to take care of myself and make sure that I release all of these feelings in a way that is going to then invite healing and wholeness into my body, into my mind, into my spirit, into my words, right? So, cursing somebody out, although it might feel good in the moment, it might harbor some ill feelings in your heart and in your womb or your soul or your spirit. So there are ways to deal with all of our different feelings without using this false sense of toxic positivity. So one of the technical definitions of toxic positivity is the overgeneralization um, of a happy, excuse me, of a happy state that results in denial and invalidation of the full human emotional experience. So it's overgeneralizing this happiness and ignoring the true fullness of the human emotional experience, which then brings me right back to, you know, this, not passing full gun laws and taking AR-15s out of the hands of people who are just full of hate. That there is no reason to have automatic weapons. In particular, you're not, hunting with AR-15s. These are weapons that we spend billions of money on. Billions. Like, and I'm not talking about 1 billion, I'm talking like $500 billion. When we talk about war, when we talk about automatic weapons, they are to seek, kill, and destroy, like the nemesis, like our adversary. So we gotta get these guns off of the street and out of our communities. Oh, it's okay, my beloved. So good to see you on today.
Eric Uptown Davis, FaceTime video.
So sorry, I had my phone on focus and now it is ringing. And I hope that, yeah, so it didn't interrupt the broadcast. Okay, so with that, because of that, we keep appeasing these folk and taking what we can get, but yet we're still dying at the hands of these automatic weapons, which is so unnecessary, so unfair, so unjust. It comes down to racism, and it's just horrible. And we have an opportunity to push back and say, nah, this is not how this works. This is not how this works. So as we begin to close, there's one other piece of this that I wanted to mention. And just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not happening, right? So oftentimes I think about the people that are on my feed, right? People send me friend requests, so I send them friend requests. We either grew up together, we live together, we're a part of the AME church, where there's some sort of connection, right? So, and there are times when there are people, even though you make a connection, there are some moments of disagreement, but there is still some connection, and you have an opportunity to unfriend them if that disconnection is just totally grievous to your spirit, to your mind, to your body. But I say that because just because I have access to all of these various social media platforms, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, not everybody has this access. Not everybody has access or has a desire to even read Black media uh, formats like The Root or Huffington Voice or Black Voices and things like that. So people are reading and seeing the Dr. Oz's of the world and the justification of number 45 saying and doing whatever the hell he's doing. And they see that so much. And this is just my takeaway, my thought, my feelings, my experience. They then see that as the truth. And they think that they can benefit and get that white power and white supremacy. And then they fall in line. Whether they agree internally or not, their mouths and their actions are definitely saying they're supporting number 45 and all of his antics, or they're supporting Herschel Walker. anyway. So they see what's put before them on like Fox News and other news mediums that support number 45, and people begin to believe it. And so they begin to believe that Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group, or they begin to believe that the perception of black skin is a threat, or they begin to believe that people are impoverished or in certain situations and it's their fault. So just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not happening. So one of the hopes that this broadcast and this type of platform will be shared far and wide, so that somebody might see this and hear a different voice, hear a true experience. Like I am experiencing this as a black woman. I experience this as a mother of black children who I have to pray for every single day. I experience this as a black grandmother, as a black sister who prays for family, because now it's even dangerous just walking out into the street or going to the supermarket or having a good time with your friends. So I hope that we in this platform will be able to expand, right? And see all of the negatives, that things that are going on, so that we can respond accordingly as a community using the power that we have, because we are still here. We are still resilient. We are still fighting the good fight. We are still, after being we've been killed, lynched. We were forced to nurture other people's children. Our families were separated, yet we are still here. So there is an innate power in us that we have the opportunity to acknowledge. We have the opportunity to come together as community. We have an opportunity to fight against those things that are constantly trying to kill us, and kill us mind, body, and spirit. So I'll leave you with this. One of the things that, along with one is too many, along with toxic positivity, along with a tyrant will always find a pretext for their tyranny. Oftentimes I hear in different venues that if someone is going through something or diagnosed with something, that it is assumed to be their fault, like social determinants of health. To me, that blames the person that is going through. Or with domestic violence, when people question, well, why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you fight back? Why didn't you go to the police? And you're victim blaming all over again. Or you're victim blaming the person that is fighting for their lives and their mental health and their mental well-being, when quite frankly, they need help, not only whether it's therapy or medication, but they need help from community to see them and to honor them and to acknowledge them and to lift them up and to give them the things that they need to be well and to be healthy. And there are times when we need to want it more than somebody else, because they don't even have the wherewithal to want it for themselves. I know oftentimes, and I say that a lot, like, I can't want it for you more than you. There are times when that is true, because y'all know I don't really do like blanket statements. There are other times when it's true that I do need to have it more than you, because you need the help, you need the support, you need me to see you and to honor you and to love you. So with all of that, being mindful that as we are in these midterm elections and clearly things are happening and people are voting now, please, if you can, and if you're able, please go out and vote. If you can't, for whatever reason, let your voice be heard on these platforms. If you can and you're healthy and you're able, go out to these protests. If you can and if you're able, write letters to your leaders and your politicians. If you can and you are able, pick up the phone and call whatever it is enough. And we can do it together in order to change this damn narrative that has been haunting us and killing us and oppressing us and marginalizing us for too many years to count. Finally, I was watching an interview with Ben Crump, and he has a documentation called Civil, and I wanted to watch it before Tuesdays with Tawana, and I missed it. But one thing that he said was change happens incrementally. And we do have to have patience, but that doesn't mean that we sit and wait and sit still. We sit and we wait. We do, like a waiter, like we wait on the Lord. We serve the Lord. We do what it is that needs to be done. So even though that change is incremental, in the meantime, we keep putting feet to prayers. We keep building community. We keep speaking life into our situations. We keep speaking truth to power until that overall change comes. You know, we've had our first Black president, but that wasn't the end. That was only the beginning, because as you see what happened afterward, they totally reversed everything and anything that he did because he had power as a Black man, and that is just unheard of and not undesired from white supremacists and people with white power and white privilege. So now we have an opportunity to be patient. Don't give up. Don't give in. Keep fighting. Keep speaking up. If something is happening in your health situations, or your doctors are not doing what they're supposed to do, or your representatives are not doing what they're supposed to, speak up and speak out. And if you don't have the language to do it, join Tuesdays with Tawana and let's talk about it. I love y'all dearly, to the moon and beyond. I'm so grateful for all of you who continue to join and continue to love one another and love on me. Share this video as much as you can, because there's something going on with the analytics with Facebook. Before, I would get like 300 views, and now it's down to 100 and something. And I've heard other people talk about this. So let us buck the system and let's get out some positive words that's going to encourage us, so that we might live and not die at the hands of systemic racism. I love each of you to the moon and beyond. And please continue to love on yourself so that you might love others, and we can build community one episode at a time. This is Dr. Tad with Tuesdays with Tawana, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Later.